Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about PlayStation 2 emulation on Android with NSX2 Emulator Alpha. This is an emulator app that's appeared on the Google Play Store and it's 100% fake, and unfortunately it's got over 1,000 downloads and it costs about $10 Canadian to buy. So taking a look at this app, and I can understand why some people may mix this up with NSX2. I mean, they have the exact same icon, although this one has a little lightning bolt on it. Anyways, your NSX2 emulator is not the real deal. And furthermore, if I click on the image here, it says right on the front of this, "Welcome to NSX." I don't know what's going on here. This person has made quite a bit of money so far by putting this on the Google Play Store. Additionally here, looking at the description, and it appears to be a very sloppy cut and paste. I mean, it says secure and stable. Play with confidence knowing that PS3 ROM loader prioritizes security and stability. And for those wondering about the developer of NSX2, if we take a look, it says Core Dev Tech. And if we take a look on Reddit, about a year ago, there was another fake NSX2 emulator out there called NSX2 Emulator Alpha Early Access by, no surprise here, Core Dev Tech. Now taking a look at Core Dev Tech on the Google Play Store, and they have a couple of other apps here. Devil Sparta 2, PlayStation 2. And this one's got over 500,000 downloads. And then their other one here, ARM64 V8A Game Data Pack. And this one's got over 1 million downloads. Now, if I'm not mistaken, about a year ago, we talked about this imposter version of NSX2 on the Google Play Store. And since then, we've now got this imposter version. I'm assuming that it's the exact same emulator as before. They've just changed the title and tried to get away with it. The real version of NSX2 or NSX2 or subscribe to Mr. Sujano or whatever you want to call it is up on GitHub, and it's 100% free. If you're interested in it and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. The latest version of NSX2 is version 2.0, and it was released on June 17th. And if we take a look right on GitHub here, the APK is available. And speaking about emulation on Android, next up we're talking about a very interesting post up on Reddit Emulation on Android. And someone's got their mobile phone plugged into a TV here to run Winlator and PC games. I'm noticing there's a ton of latency with the controller and what's happening on screen. But at the same time here, this is a very interesting setup overall. And as smartphones get more powerful and as cool apps like Winlator get released and updated and refined, this may be a look into the future of gaming. Now, without really opening a can of worms on that argument about the future of mobile gaming, just think about the Switch, think about that popularity, and think about other gaming handhelds. But anyways here, the point is that this is a Dimensity 9400, not even a Snapdragon, and I would say that's very impressive. And speaking about cool stuff, next up we're talking about Xbox 360 emulation with Xenia Manager. For those who may not be aware, Xenia Manager is a user-friendly tool designed to simplify the use of the Xenia emulator. It streamlines game management, patch installation, and configuration, all through an intuitive interface. And Xenia Manager is something that the One Fluff is interested in, the legendary One Fluff. Now, she's interested in Xenia Manager because version 3.0.0 just dropped, and this one is a big one. They're considering this one a major release. Now, there is something worth noting here, and I would also say this is very important. This version is not compatible with Xenia Manager version 2 and requires a fresh installation. But they do have an FAQ on how to migrate existing content. So they go on to say here, this release represents a significant milestone in Xenia Manager's evolution. During development, a comprehensive community-driven database featuring about 6,500 Xbox 360 games called X360DB was created, which was inspired by Xemu's XDB. And by separating Xbox Marketplace data from Xenia Manager's core database, we've made it easier for developers to fork and integrate this data into their own projects. Community contributions are welcome to help improve game assets and add new features. So as for what's new here, we've got optimizations, improvements, a brand new look and feel, bug fixes, and even more. They say here there's a modernized design, experience a sleek Windows 11 inspired interface powered by WPF UI, delivering a more intuitive and visually appealing user experience. Multilingual support, enhanced loading experience. Games now display game-specific background image sourced from X360DB during Xenia launch. Flexible library views, list view, browse and manage your games in a convenient sortable list format. Quick directory scanning, add multiple games instantly with our new Scan Directory button. There's a new stable experimental switcher, and they say seamlessly toggle between build types. Automatic updates and nightly netplay build support. They've got per game settings, NVIDIA driver settings return. They say virtual sync and frame rate limiter options restored, and AMD support planned for future releases. On a side note here, it's worth noting the content installer has been temporarily removed while the Xenia team develops an improved method for installing content files without requiring unpacking. And continuing to talk about stuff that deals with emulation, next up we're talking about RetroBat. For those who may be unaware, RetroBat is a software distribution designed for emulation and to be the easiest way to enjoy your game collection on your Windows computer. So at the time of filming, version 7.3 of RetroBat is the latest update. And with this update, there's a bunch of other updates to emulators. They've updated their versions of Ymir and Shad PS4, PCSX2, MAME, Gopher 64, Dolphin, and even more. They've added Epic, Amazon, EA Games, and GOG systems grouped with Windows by default. They've added Technopair to Triforce and Namco systems. And on top of that, there is a bunch of different fixes, including stuff for Azahar. On top of that, there's new features here. For example, for Ares, they've added sync options. For BizHawk, they've added a turbo option for Game Boy Advance, and even more. And there's also stuff for achievements here. They say add switch to enable unofficial achievements. And continuing to talk about stuff with Ret in the name, RetroBat and now Retrom. That was a terrible transition. Anyways, here we're talking about Retrom, a centralized game library collection management service with a focus on emulation. Configure once, play anywhere, and Retrom just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, version 0.7.30 is the latest update. And as for what's been added here, they say serve web client directly from service. The web client is now served directly from the main Retrom service. This means that the web client can now be accessed under the same port that the service listens on. This also sets the Retrom service up for distribution methods other than Docker. Keep your eyes open for native binaries for Windows, Mac OS, Linux in the future. And speaking about stuff we're going to see in the future, next up here we're talking about Steam, and Steam has a brand new update in their beta channel, a redesigned store menu, and this will be pushed obviously to the stable channel once bugs are fixed and they receive feedback. But anyways, here, if you wanted to check it out, you absolutely can. So they say here, just as the Steam store has changed with the addition of new features in the past few years, the ways users browse the store have changed too. Today's Steam Client Beta features a new store menu that is designed to provide easier access to the places Steam users most frequently visit. As part of our ongoing efforts to help users find new and exciting games to play on Steam, we're eager for you to try out the new menu and to read your feedback. So as for the changes here, they say they've combined the left column of links and blue menu bar into one cohesive menu, bringing you all your essential links into a more unified and reorganized space. There's an enhanced search panel. So in that search panel, there's popular searches. You can see what others are searching. Recently viewed, more than just games, search for categories, publishers, and more. And advanced search link. There's a new browse tab to easier access top destinations, recommendations tailored to you, as well as categories and tags personalized for you. If you are interested in this one and wanted to check it out, you can check out the latest Steam Client Beta and see if it works for you and provide feedback. I'm assuming here that feedback will be listened to and will be valuable to help shape this out, although I'm pretty sure they're fairly set on this. And speaking about stuff taking shape, next up here we're talking about God of War, and it seems as if the God of War Amazon Prime TV series is back on track. This is meant to be an adaptation of God of War. Unfortunately, we don't have any trailers, any release dates, or anything of that nature just yet about this TV series. And that's because the TV series has faced some rocky development per se. It was greenlit back in 2022, and I guess the executive producers had previously left. So hopefully here things continue to shape up, and hopefully a live action show is good for God of War. And continuing to talk about upcoming stuff, next up we're talking about Mortal Kombat Legacy. And it seems the Xbox app may have leaked the release date of Mortal Kombat Legacy for September 29. So multiple people seem to have taken screenshots of what once was public, and once something's on the internet, good luck taking it off the internet. The release date here is stated to be September 29th, and I'm curious to see if that release date holds up. And speaking about fighting games and dates and stuff holding up, next up here we're talking about an SNES fighting game that you may never have heard about before or may never have played, and it's called Battlemaster Ultimate Warriors. Now, this game was released back in 1993 and just received an English translation. I would say in terms of holding up, the gameplay here is very fast and looks interesting. There's probably a lot of broken stuff in it, and I'm assuming if more and more people are going to take a look at it now that it's available in English. I, for one, am very interested in this one and will be taking a look at it probably. Let me know your thoughts about Battlemaster Ultimate Warriors in the comments below, and if you've played it before it was translated to English. It is worth noting here, this is an unofficial fan translation, and it's up on romhack.ing. Again, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom if you wanted to learn more about it. And speaking about cool stuff for older systems, next up here we're talking about a Sega Master System shooter called Razing Core. Anyways, an alpha gameplay demo has just been released over on itch.io, and you can check out a YouTube video if you wanted to see it in action. It looks really interesting. So taking a look over on itch.io, and the demo is available. It says it works with emulators and also real hardware, and the controls on this, well, considering it's for the Master System, seem to be pretty simple and straightforward. And speaking about simple and straightforward, next up here we're talking about Magic the Gathering and the Final Fantasy collaboration. And it seems in terms of making profits, this one was pretty simple and straightforward. I guess they made $200 million in one day. I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that a lot of these sets were picked up by scalpers in order to resale. Anyways here, there's an interesting quote over on VGC. The Hasbro CEO says, "We couldn't produce enough. I think we increased production runs on it 4 times pre-release. It was substantially, by many very high double-digit percentages ahead of any other production run we've ever done, and we left the market wanting more." I'm curious here to see if they make more of these sets. And speaking about making stuff, next up here we're talking about Metroid Prime 4. And if you're excited about the game, if you've been excited about the game for a long time, a release date may be on the horizon here. VGC has spotted that Metroid Prime 4 has been rated by South Korea's classification board. We'll have to wait and see here moving forward, but I'm assuming that it may be a part of the next Nintendo Direct. And for those wondering, it's got a rating of ages 12 and up due to mild violence. If you're excited about Metroid Prime 4, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And speaking about exciting stuff, at least to me, next up here we're talking about Shotcut, which is my favorite video editor. It's a free open source cross-platform video editor, and one that I do use on this channel, or for this channel rather. Anyways, here Shotcut just got a brand new update with some interesting new features. So at the time of filming, version 25.07 of Shotcut is the latest update. And they say here, hot. 1 hot for the new speech-to-text model downloader, 2 hots for the new System Fusion and improved System UI themes, and 3 hots for your CPU cooking on the new outline video filter. Now, in addition to all of that stuff, they've added some new features here. They've added rolling and edit trim to timeline. They've added the ability to drag the waveform peak line to adjust audio gain, and even more. There's sound mixing improvements and even more. This to me is a pretty big update. Now, in my opinion here, Shotcut is not as flashy as something like Adobe Premiere Pro or Kdenlive or DaVinci Resolve or anything like that. but I find Shotcut to be simple, straightforward, and very efficient at what it does, and I frickin' love it. And speaking about software and free and open source stuff, next up we're talking about Mozilla Thunderbird. And Mozilla Thunderbird was just updated to version 141.0 and got a brand new feature. So in addition to what's fixed here, which is a whole bunch of stuff, they've also added an archive action to mail notifications. Next up here, we're talking about a very interesting article, and this one's up on TechRadar, and it is an opinion piece. But I am very curious to hear your opinions on the matter. So it's titled, "Handheld PC Makers Are Slowly Losing Touch with Valve's Successful Steam Deck Template of Affordability." And that's very concerning. And I may agree with that, although under the hood, some of these have extremely powerful chips. At the same time, stuff like the Steam Deck, I think, based on its affordability, is one of the reasons why it's so popular. The article goes on to talk about pricing of various handhelds, gives an insight to the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus, and talks about some pricing for some upcoming stuff. And interestingly here, not surprisingly, pricing is getting more and more expensive. Now, truth be told, when I review things, one of the most talked about things in the comments is generally about the price and the affordability, or the non-affordability of stuff. I mean, I've reviewed some things that are extremely good, but also very expensive. And it seems a lot of people are not willing to shell out the extra money for that performance, and they're trying to find the best price to performance ratio. And I don't blame them, because I'm the exact same way. I mean, when I bought my Steam Deck, I got the cheapest model possible. I got the 64 gig LCD one, and I'm still using it today. I have upgraded the drive since then. But at the same time here, it's just, you have to find that sweet spot. And I think going top of the line and very expensive is not necessarily a trend that's going to resonate well with gamers. So I recommend checking out the article and letting me know your thoughts about the price to performance ratio on handhelds, and kind of what your upper limit is that you'd be willing to spend on a handheld. Some of these coming out, I would say, are pretty darn expensive. Is the performance going to be there? Arguably, yes, but at the same time, is the juice worth the squeeze in terms of pricing? Let me know your thoughts. And speaking about prices, next up we're talking about a company whose stock prices have plummeted in the last few days. And that's Intel. And this headline here is, it's a little bit concerning on top of all of the other information I've seen over the last while that's been concerning. So anyways, it says, Intel spins off Network and Edge Group as standalone business after posting $2.9 billion loss, seeking investors for NEX division amid massive internal restructuring. Now, for reference here, that $2.9 billion loss is not a yearly loss, it's a quarterly loss. And I would say the current state of Intel is probably not that great. I mean, taking a look here with all of these changes, with the massive amount of layoffs, I would say that Intel seems to be, I don't want to say struggling to find new direction, but they seem pretty aggressive in terms of quickly trying to turn things around. I'm not going to lie here. I'm very curious to see what happens with Intel moving forward. I'm curious about the ARM space. I'm curious to see with all of these changes if they can remain competitive with AMD. And I'm curious to see if they ever will reemerge as a market leader. Let me know your thoughts about Intel here. Every single thing I've tested with Intel has not necessarily been bad, but at the same time, when compared to AMD, I think AMD right now is where it's at in terms of gaming performance and price to performance ratios for devices. Could be wrong with that one. That could be a hot take, but I don't think so. And speaking about Intel and a lot of other stuff and Linux, next up we're talking about a brand new Linux kernel that's just released. 6.16 stable. If you are curious about learning more about Linux 6.16, I would recommend checking out the Phoronix website, because they have a whole lot of information about the kernel. A lot of very detailed and involved information about the kernel. On top of that, though, at a super high level with 6.16, basically just expect better compatibility and better performance, depending on the device you have. Either way here, if you like cutting edge, then maybe it's time to check out 6.16. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff, or actually the legendary one fluff made an appearance. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.